Hey guys, Ron Devine here. Hope you're doing fabulous as always. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but I was thinking about something that happened last night and needed to share it. Funny story is I actually already made this video, but somehow or another I deleted it by accident. So here I am again, doing it all over again in between my runs for fast signs who I'm working with these days and just trying to figure out where I'm going next. But I figured while I'm driving, let's go ahead and do this. So last night, me and my daughter were talking because I had the cleaning lady come over to my house yesterday and clean my house, which she does every few weeks or so. And I came back in from my man cave, which is basically my garage, and my house looked like a trash can. And so, here I am. I'm talking with my daughter and I'm going through some things with her, and I'm like, look at baby, this is not something that we can do. I love you having your friends over and everything, but when you're done, we definitely need to clean up and make sure the house is still tidy. Because it was less than 3 hours and my house looked like a trash can again. I'm like, wait a second here. Hold on. And so anyways, with that being said, here she was giving me this attitude like she was a victim or something. And I'm like, whoa, that's not how we act. That's not how I raised you. And she was just like, but, and started making excuses upon excuses. And anyone who knows me knows that that's something I just don't deal with. It's not something I've ever dealt with. And it's just impossible for me to look at something like that and take it serious. So, I started talking with her and I'm like, wait a second, where is this coming from? And so a little back later the story. So my daughter, she was, here in South Carolina, they got rid of the mask mandate a long time ago, right? And so I'm like, I'm going shopping with her the other day, and she's still wearing her mask, and I'm like, baby girl, why are you wearing your mask? You don't have to anymore. And she's like, but I like it. I want to be safe. And I'm like, something in the milk ain't clean here. What's going on? And she was like, well, Dad, you don't realize. And I'm like, no, I do realize, baby girl. You do realize that this whole thing with this craziness that's going on has a 99% recovery rate. So there's really no reason to fear about it because, God forbid you should get it. Chances are you're going to be okay. And I was like, can you imagine what would happen if cancer had a 99% recovery rate, Alzheimer's had a 99% recovery rate? How would we look at life? Everything would be hunky-dory and we would all be loving life. But, all of a sudden with this thing, 99% recovery rate, and you have people living in fear and being victims and not victors. And so here I am, I'm trying to explain it to her, and I'm, going through that, and she's just not agreeing with me. And I'm like, all right, you know what? That's your prerogative, sweetheart. I don't like it because I think it's wrong that you're thinking like this. And I explained to her, and then we had to go through that, and I was just like, all right, that's fine. So last night when we went through this whole conversation, here we are again, same type of situation, right? And I'm just like, wait a second, baby. You know, the way I raised you is to always own up to your own responsibilities. The way I raised you is that you are always going to be above and never beneath. You're always going to be the one that takes control of life. You're always supposed to be the one that don't make excuses, that makes results, that you always find a way to get things done. And she wasn't doing that. So I'm just like, wait a second. All right, what's going on here? And what am I doing as an adult to make her think that she needs to act this way, right? And as far as I know, that is not even a case, because I always breathe life and abundance and make sure that they understand respect and to live with respect. And so I said, baby, when I tell you to do something, I expect it to get done. And she was like, well, you don't make Caden, or Caden doesn't always do what you tell him to do. And I'm like, wait a second. Yes, he does. He always does what I tell him to do, when I tell him to do it, how I tell him to do it, immediately and directly. And she was like, but, I'm like, baby, all right, let's stop. Right now, you're being a victim. And victims never win in life. If you want to be successful, if you want to be a person that people are going to respect, then you need to make sure that you're living a life that shows victory and not victimhood. You can look at a lot of ways to say this, but at the end of the day, you have to make a decision, sweetheart, to be above everybody else and find a way to say, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna do what's right regardless of what is happening around me. And she was like, but Dad, I'm like, there is no but, sweetheart. You got to understand, as a victor, that you can't let excuses, you can't let problems stand in your way. You have to grab life by the horns and make life happen. You can't react, you need to act. Now, a lot of people say, but they're pretty much the same thing. And I'm like, no, there really, really are completely different things. People who react don't think about consequences. They don't think about what's gonna happen in the future. They just, they just think about what is happening right this moment. And when you react, you always end up on the wrong side of things. So I had to explain to her that, you're acting like a victim right now, and that's not how I raised you in any way, shape, or form. And you already know this, but she was still going on and on and on. But this time I'm like, all right, I ain't letting this go. We're going to make sure that you understand the difference, between being a victim or being a victor. Excuse me while I have a sip. And so I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, why is this happening? Because I know what I teach her. And then I had to realize that, wait a second, I'm with my daughter for a certain amount of hours every day. And she's in school for 8 hours, being taught by strangers who have an agenda that will fit a narrative that meets what they want to happen. And so I had to look at this and say, okay, where is this narrative coming from? Who is she being around that is influencing her to be a victim instead of a victor? And so one thing we as parents need to be extremely careful of is how we let our kids, or who we let our kids be surrounded with. Because if you're not careful, your child's friends will have more of an impact on their life than you will. And when that happens, all of a sudden things get out of control. But let's regress a little bit. How do we keep this from happening to our kids? The first thing is we have to look at ourselves as parents and say, wait a second, how am I acting? Because kids learn differently than adults. Kids learn by association, right? They're not going to learn primarily from academically once you reach a certain age. That's the reason they actually change the way education is from a preschool to a teenager, where now once they become teenagers, it's all about associating to where they were in the past and what they've learned in the past. And that's how you teach a child anything you want them to learn. You can't just yell at them. You can't just say this is this and that is that, because it doesn't materialize in their head. Because once again, they need to be taught in associations so that they can understand why they're doing what they're doing and how they can become better than what they are right at this moment. And so we need to make sure that we're doing our job as parents to make sure that we are doing the associations properly, so that way they know how to handle situations moving forward. Okay? So, and the only way to make sure that that happens is that we ourselves are living that type of a lifestyle, because they need to see that in us. And when we position ourselves to make sure that the people that we're around, that the things that we're learning, that the things that we're doing are going to make an impact on their lives, and that they're going to be better for it, then we're also better for it, because we're doing it for ourselves, and then it's relaying to our children. Now, with all of that being said, so I had to sit there and I couldn't scold her about this. I had to teach her. I had to associate things. I had to bring points to her so that she would realize in her head that, wait a second, what Daddy's saying makes sense because of XYZ that I can already relate to, right? And we as adults, believe it or not, we're the same way. That's just how we learn. We learn, we grow through association. And so what do we need to do to make sure that we are not being victim? If you ever find yourself in a position to where you're blaming somebody else, where you're thinking, woe is me because of XYZ, where things are somebody else's fault or certain circumstances' faults, then you don't have a grasp on victory. You're still living in a victor's mentality. So you need to make sure that you're not being that victim. You need to make sure that you are moving forward. You need to make sure that wherever you go in life, circumstances don't happen to you. They can't happen to you, right? They can happen around you, but only you can determine what you do with your life moving forward. You have the ability to either act or react to a certain situation. And when you live in that situation where you are not reacting, but you're stopping, you're thinking, you're learning, you're growing, and then you act, now you're in a better position to where now I can teach my children how to do the same thing. This is why it's vitally important that as parents, we teach our kids from a very young age when they're acting out of sort. that, wait a second, baby, you're not a victim, you're a victor. You are a champion, and champions don't make excuses. Champions don't let the world dictate what happens to them. That, like the old saying goes, if life gives you lemons, make a lemonade. It's the same thing. You and only you can determine what that situation, those circumstances that are happening to and around you, are going to control you. And so when you make that decision not to let that situation control you, when you make a decision that no matter what situation is happening, that you will find a way to take that situation, learn from that situation, grow from that situation, and become the best version of yourself you can. Because it doesn't matter, guys. Life is always going to go wrong. It doesn't matter who you are. Life will always go wrong at some point in time. And when you finally realize that no matter what happens with life, that I'm always going to be a victor and I'm never going to be a victim, now you can position yourself to be successful. Now you can position yourself to say, you know what? It doesn't matter. I know who I am. I know that God created me in his image and that I am going to move forward. I'm not going to look at a circumstance. I'm going to look at the solution. I'm not going to be the victim. I'm going to be the victor. And when you do that and you put that knowledge into your child's life at a very young age, then they have a better chance of succeeding in life than even you did, because now they've learned this from our mistakes. They've learned this from the things that we've done wrong, right? See, I'm not telling you stuff that out of a vast knowledge of just God-given gift. No, I'm telling you this because I learned, I grew, I made as many mistakes as I possibly could as a parent. I mean, there were times where I wondered why God even let me be a parent. And so everything I'm telling you is out of my past failures. Everything I'm telling you is because this is firsthand knowledge of how I was able to grow and become a better person, become a better parent, and live the life that my children deserve. Like when she said, well, Caden, and I'm like, no. She's like, well, he does over mom's house. I'm like, what he does at his mom's house is irrelevant compared to what he does at my house. Because in my house, you guys are going to respect me just like I respect you. There's a reason when you ask me for something, I say, yes, ma'am. That's because I'm teaching you to learn respect. Now, my son was like her when he was younger. But as I continue to teach and continue to raise him, he's now very, very respectful. He's headed into the Marines in just a few weeks. And so I feel comfortable and confident that he's going to do really, really well in life. Just like I am comfortable and confident in my daughter as well. It's just that I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a second. If I'm going through this the way I raise my kids, other people must be going through these similar situations. So how can we get out of that victim mentality? Once again, it all boils down to you need to understand that life doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. So in other words, what that means is the circumstances, the situations that are happening around you, they only affect you personally if you allow them. Yeah, certain situations might affect you momentarily, but that doesn't affect who you are. That does not affect who you are as an individual. So once we get that past that, well, this happened in my past, that happened in my past, this happened yesterday, who cares what happened? What did you do with what happened? How did you become better? How can you help somebody become better? Who are you able to teach through those circumstances to help yourself, to help them grow? And when we are able to do that, then life becomes so much better, and we have so much more to offer, so much more to give. And that's where the magic of life happens, because Now you get to see lives changed around you, and especially our kids. So I was encouraged to think about, wait a second, there are other people that are going through this. Let me go ahead and make a video. I know it's been a while. I've been working hard with the company I'm with right now, Fast Signs, and just getting out there and trying to make an impact on people's lives in that route. And I need to get back to making more of these videos and making an impact in your lives as well again. So hopefully I'll start making more of these. They might be more like this just while I'm driving around, going from client to client. And, they might be this long, they might be short. But I'll try to keep you guys up to date and keep you motivated, keep you in tune, keep you in sync, help myself be in tune and in sync, because I learn and I grow with these videos. It's not like I write all of this stuff up. It all just comes from my heart. And you guys who watched my videos in the past know that already. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment box below what you thought, if you agree, if you disagree. It's all good. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. That's why, we all hopefully will grow from one another. But anyways, guys, I got to drop something off to this client here. But you guys make sure you create yourselves a fabulous day, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Take care.